Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews coming at you guys with my review for The Walking Dead Season 8 Episode 12. What an episode. Let's get into it. What an episode this week. I did say this in the last review. I said I've been watching the sneak peeks, the previews. This episode looks good. It looks really good. And I called it, I have to say. And going into it, I was actually more excited for this episode than I have been for, to watch it live on TV. For a Walking Dead episode, probably since, maybe the premiere of season 7 to see who died. Honestly, I was really, really hyped for this episode, or maybe even the Carl episode too. I was pretty hyped for that one just to see, what they were going to do with it and whatever. And wow, this one blew me away. Honestly, this was such a good episode. I could see if, the casual viewers, not in love with this episode, but I could see them definitely enjoying it. After this one, I think the ratings and the viewership is going to go up as well. I think this one was not the best in terms of, just the episode well done, In terms of that, I don't think it's the best of the season, but in terms of entertainment value and action, definitely the best, hands down. So, I guess you could argue maybe The Damned was maybe, this season was maybe a little bit more entertaining or action-packed, but this was amazing. So, anyways, getting into a recap here. I'm going to try to go really quick with the recap, and then get into my rating and some, overall thoughts, favorite character. I do have a lot of new things coming. I have a new, I don't want to say too much about it, but I might make a video about it, just explaining what it is and, that it's starting soon. It's going to be somewhat of a series on the channel for me, so I'm looking forward to it. I got to get some more things together for it and do some more planning, but right now I'm pretty excited about it. So, yeah. So that's going to be coming soon. A couple other new things. Winter schedule is picking up here. March 25th is around where most of the shows come back and most of the new ones air. So really look forward to that. And I'd love it if you guys stick with me for that as well. Just like you have been for the fall. The spring. Spring is March 25th. My bad. This is winter. So the winter and the fall and even the summer. So yeah, I really, really appreciate it. So anyways, guys, let's get into this episode. So very beginning, we see Negan and the Saviors on their way to the hilltop to implement Negan's guts idea, right? So we don't know if this is going to work yet. It seems pretty, it's biological warfare, right? I mean, this is, kind of crossing the line even for the Negan and the Saviors, if it actually works, right? That's like the key, right? So Dwight rides with Simon while Negan rides alone, and that's a key in this episode. The title is called The Key. The episode is titled The Key. That is the key right there. I know that's, that's not, mentioned in the episode. It's mentioned at a different time. But this is the key for what happens. So Simon then questions Negan's plan with Dwight. This was a really interesting scene to see them, kind of eye to eye in the truck there, just talking without Negan there, right? Negan's not present. Negan's not listening, finally. So the two are able to interact. And, of course, Simon has no idea that Dwight's playing both sides here. He's pretty naive. Him and Negan, I mean, they really don't expect it at all. So anyways, yeah, interesting scene between the two of them. Simon says some things, just basically echoing what he even said to Negan 2 episodes ago when he took out the whole junkyard group, basically, I guess, for lack of a better word, I mean, genocided them, sort of, right? I mean, just exterminated them. So yeah, we know that he's not agreeing with Negan. He just wants to kill everybody, and that, he thinks that that's going to solve his problem. And this is a great line. The King, the Widow, and Rick, they don't scare, right? Simon, I don't know why I try to, put it in the character's voice when I say it. It probably sounds really bad. But anyways, that's Simon's line. I thought that was, really cool. This was obviously in some of the sneak peeks that I saw as well. So, but yeah, they don't scare. So obviously he's saying, they don't scare. These warnings and these tactics that Negan's doing are not working, right? We just need to kill them, pretty much, right? So, anyways, that's an interesting scene. Then we see Rick arrive at the hilltop with Michonne. So this was nice. Obviously, we know that they got back last episode. Now we are actually just seeing them get back because we didn't see them last episode. And Rick gets to hold Judith again, right? And honestly, I feel like I honestly forget about Judith sometimes in the show. I mean, when I think of like, oh wow, Rick has lost his kid, I tend to like ignore Judith's existence, right? But I mean, technically, she's not his kid, right? It is Shane's. He did confirm that earlier. But anyway, so he holds Judith, so that was kind of a nice warm moment in what has been, a pretty emotional, back half here with starting off with Carl's death. So yeah, that was nice. And then he also shares a nice moment with Daryl as well. Daryl and him kind of eye to eye, just like Dwight and Simon, right? They're kind of on the same level. They're talking. And they talk a little bit about Carl's death, what has been going on. Daryl apologizes for his, plan that kind of went wrong with the Saviors. And, of course, Rick, I don't think he really cares right now, right? He's just kind of focused on the war and obviously very affected by Carl's death. So he's not really focusing on many other things right now. But it was a nice moment with him and Daryl. We haven't seen them together since probably they fought last in Season 8, but... Anyways, and then Rick says, I'm gonna be okay. I'm not okay right now, but I'm gonna be okay. And I think that's true. I mean, I think right after this war ends, Rick's gonna go through a tough time because he's gonna have no other outlet. He's gonna focus on Carl's death. That's gonna be tough for him, but I think he is gonna be okay. He's gonna come out of this, stronger than ever. I would guess. And then he also says, thanks for getting them here, right? To Daryl. Daryl is responsible, and he gets the group there to the hilltop when Rick and Michonne kind of have to stick back with Carl and then end up burying him. So that's a very nice scene there. Then Maggie finds a crate set outside of the walls, and it has a note on it and coordinates for a meeting spot. So this was really, really strange. I'm not exactly sure what this is or what's going on here. I don't know. So anyways... They get this note. Michonne wants to take a chance on it, as it could be someone who wants to help. They're in the midst of a war right now, right? So they're not really used to many allies helping them out or anything like that. So this is a very strange moment for them, but Michonne's still holding out hope, right? She's basically taking the Carl approach, is what I like to call it. Carl's inspired her to take this kind of approach to trust people again and to save people, right? Or at least the people that she can save, right? Plus, they need food desperately, right? Maggie kind of states this again, right? If they got food, we should meet with them because we're close to starving here. They stressed that a lot in this episode. So Maggie, Enid, and Rosita want to go with Michonne to the meeting spot. So very interesting stuff there. And then the meat of the episode here. This was amazing. This was awesome. So Rick sees the convoy driving on the road as he looks out from his lookout spot on the hill. And at this point, he's about to warn the others by sounding the car horn, but at the last second, he sees Negan in his car alone at the very back of the group. Right? So he sees this chance and takes advantage right away, which in hindsight is not a smart decision. I mean, because, obviously we know how it plays out, but if it played out differently and Negan had backup and the plan didn't work, Rick would have been killed pretty easily. So, I don't know. The whole idea here behind this is not very smart by Rick, but it ends up working out anyways. So he gets in his car and goes after him, right? So then we see him come out from an alley and actually hit Negan's car not head on, but from the side. He sideswipes him there with his truck. And then we see Simon in the truck, because he's in the truck right before Negan. He smiles, or he at least like smirks a little bit as it happens when he sees it happen. So right then, right in that moment, I'm like, okay, Simon's pretty okay with this, right? This was interesting. So then he tells the other Saviors to calm down, stay put, instead of going to help Negan. Which, like, why would they do that, right? That does not make sense. They want to go help save Negan, but he says, no, stand down. Dwight and him will go and solve it and try to find Negan. So he's really taking advantage of this situation, and I don't really think he cares if Negan dies or not. Maybe even he wants him to die so then he can take over, so he doesn't have to take orders from Negan anymore. Because obviously now, once Negan finds out about the junkyard, which he does in this episode, I don't think Simon's going to be living much longer. So then Yeah, so he tells Savers that Dwight and him will go save them, and of course, we know that this doesn't really happen. So yeah, Rick crashes then into Negan. We see the aftermath of the crash there. I would like to see it happen in real time, but we just kind of, see the aftermath of it. I don't know. It's pretty difficult to do that, to film, a big car crash like that. So I get it, but I would have liked to see it. That's one of the only things I didn't like about this sequence. But then Negan gets out from his car. Rick has his machine gun and he's just firing at him relentlessly. Firing off bullets. And again, here's Rick with his bad aim. I mean, he doesn't hit one single bullet on Negan. Pretty crazy stuff. So then Negan runs into this warehouse building. Rick runs up behind him. And he almost takes him out. Negan almost knocks out Rick, but he's able to duck under because Negan was waiting behind the wall and just swings Lucille. Almost got him. Pretty damn close. But then Negan runs away up a staircase, and Rick runs out of bullets in his gun. And that was like the one upper hand that he had in this. That he had a gun and Negan had a baseball bat. So, usually the gun is gonna win. But then he runs out of bullets. And then Negan's up on the stairs. He says, come up here, let's see what's going to happen here. And Rick actually kind of outsmarts Negan in this. He grabs his axe, and Negan thinks he's coming up the stairs to, fight Negan. But instead he throws his axe at Negan's head and he just dodges it. So 2 close calls here in a row. Both guys are kind of trading blows here. So then Negan then steps on the edge of the steps of this, scaffolding, I guess, of this, staircase here. And it causes him to lose his footing and Lucille. So he loses Lucille and Lucille drops all the way down. Then he's holding on from falling at the edge of the stairway there. And Rick grabs his axe to take him out. Right? This was an awesome moment. At this point, as a viewer, you know that Negan is probably not going to die in this situation. You know that, but still building up the suspense. So, Negan lets go just before Rick is able to basically kill him, or at least chop off his hand or something, right? Do something bad. And he drops to the bottom. So, that's quite a fall, right? That looked like quite a fall. So, obviously, he's going to be in a little bit of pain. But then, that's not even the best part. So then this happens where they're in the tombs. This was a really, really cool sequence. So Rick goes down in the tombs to find Negan. And we find out that Negan's lost Lucille. He doesn't know where she is, right? He doesn't know where this bat is. So they talk to each other through the walls. Some really good dialogue here that I wrote down here. Rick said, "This is where you die." Right? Exactly from the previews, from the sneak peeks for this half season. Really cool stuff. Now we finally know where that comes from. And Rick says, "Nobody's coming for you," right? And I thought this was a big thing, right? This was a big theme in the episode. Negan starts to realize that he's been betrayed and that his people are not coming from him for him because, they'd probably be there already, right? Like, it's been a while. He's in the tombs now and there's no sound of any of the people. Which obviously we know is because Simon, called them all down. So then Negan tells Rick that they can work out a new deal. It says like a 25%, one-time deal or whatever. And it's like, stop. Like, and then he keeps mentioning Carl, which I would imagine gets on Rick's nerves a little bit. And honestly, in this moment, I really thought Negan was finally the hunted role, or sort of like the coward role. Instead of the hunter. Rick has all the strength in this situation pretty much, and that's one of the first times that this has ever happened in this all-out war. Probably the first time, right? Hasn't happened a lot. Negan's always the guy with the the strength and the power in these situations, and now he isn't. Rick has the upper hand here. So then Rick tells Negan about the junkyard, and this was a big reveal to Negan, right? Simon lied to him. He had no idea about this, and now he knows that Simon lied to him. So now he actually does know. So that's going to be a problem. I honestly think he's going to kill Simon as soon as he sees him now for disobeying him and doing what he did. So yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing. And then he also starts to figure it all out, right? He's kind of piecing it together, that Simon is betraying him right now, and that's probably why no one's coming for him. And he says, God damn it, right? So we see that Negan is really kind of down here. He's in a tough spot. And then Rick finds Lucille on the ground and smiles. So this was awesome. He basically completely outsmarts Negan now. He grabs Lucille and he says, it's moments like these where you find out who your real friends are. He says that once he picks up Lucille. I thought that was really great. I feel like that's so true, right? Negan, everyone follows him and whatever, but when he's in a situation like this, in a dire strait, no one's coming for him. No one cares about him, or at least, no one actually comes and gets him. So, very true statement, right? And I feel like Rick's, definitely learned this as well, and now he's kind of teaching it to Negan. But anyways, that's like the first part of this sequence. Then we get a little bit more later. Then Maggie and the others meet the people. So an older lady named Georgie comes out of the van. They're at this meeting spot and says that she will trade knowledge for 4 crates of goods. This whole part was so confusing to me. I didn't get it at all. There's 2 other women with her. They kind of, I thought they were men at first, but then, we hear them obviously. Other women. 3 women. And I would like to point out this as well. I think they talked about this on Talking Dead a little bit. But all these scenes with Georgie and this group, it was all women in these scenes. So I thought that was really powerful as well to show, what kind of stuff was going on there and how, strong these women are, that they can go out on their own and tackle this group and risk their lives, right? So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, like to say the least, this is really strange. So then Maggie says they're coming back with them to the hilltop, and she's not going to make a deal with them, right? She's kind of already tired of it. She doesn't buy it. So, that she doesn't want it. So then back at the hilltop, Michonne says they should let them go before the Saviors get here. They know that the Saviors are on the way, which is true. I mean, they don't really deserve to die, right, in this war. It's not really their war to fight. So she thinks that she'd let them go. But then Enid comes in and questions her. So this was interesting. She says some things about Carl, some actually rude things that obviously affect Michonne. And we see that ultimately Enid's really upset about what happened, right? She's kind of taking her feelings and putting it into anger about Carl's death. She says, he saved someone, he's dead. I killed someone, I'm alive. That must be how it is, right? And she's really close-minded right now because of, how she feels about the death of Carl. So she's in a tough spot, right? She's in a tough situation here. And Michonne tells her to step back and takes her gun. Thought that was really smart of Michonne, just to kind of, alleviate a little bit of the pressure there and kind of step, Enid down, right, from where she was going. She's on a bad path right now, right? We don't know what's going to happen with Enid, so that's going to be interesting to see in the future. Then Michonne says that they can't forget the kind of people Carl wanted them to be to Maggie. That's what she says. So I thought that was really powerful, and we see that theme throughout the episode that Michonne's really adopting this Carl approach, like I say, to all the issues that they are facing. So Maggie lets them go. As a result, Michonne talks her out of it and takes their deal. So then the woman Georgie offers her more food, in result of letting her go, and her book, A Key to the Future. That's what it's called. It includes plans for windmills and other newer technology to build and develop. And then Georgie says that she will be back and she wants to see the place built up even more. And then they're gone. Like, that's it, right? They were like 10 minutes in this episode. Strangest thing ever in Walking Dead in a long time. And they're gone, right? Just as quick as they came. So I don't know what to say about that one. That's interesting. Yeah, definitely an interesting part of the episode for sure. So then after that Georgie sort of stuff is dealt with, of course they get a little bit of food from that, but not much, right? So that's still a problem. That's still a problem for them in terms of food. Because like I said last week, I think I said this in the review as well, the hilltop can probably maintain itself, right? They can sustain themselves. But they have so many other extra people living there right now, as they're all kind of together, that they just can't, they don't have enough supplies to feed everyone, right? So that's a problem. But anyways, as they are walking to find Negan, Simon then tells Dwight that if he was the leader, they would branch out and move on from Rick and the others so that the Saviors can survive. He doesn't think Negan is holding survival as a main priority for the Saviors, right? He doesn't agree with that. And of course we know that, right? We know that already. So then we can see that Simon really wants to take over from Negan, right? We're kind of getting that impression. that he wants to be the new leader, and he's willing to let him die to do so, right? Like, he really doesn't, I don't think he really cares if Negan's dead or alive at this point. He just, he wants to lead the group, and he thinks he has a better way of doing that. So they find the crash site then, finally. They see some, blood on the car or whatever, and Simon tells Dwight that they can walk away, right? They can walk away from this and let Negan die, presumably, but he doesn't know that he's dead for sure, but he's guessing, right? So he says he can walk away from this, leave Negan to his own, resources, whatever, leave him to his own, to die or whatever, or turn, whatever, and then they can go back to their people and move on from this. He says, this is a moment that we can tell our grandkids about. And this is like such a Simon line to say, like just kind of silly and kind of weird. But, okay, whatever. He's like, this is a pivotal point in our history or whatever. So, I don't know. I guess he's planning for long term. But sad to say, I don't think he's going to live past this season. So, I don't think so. But anyways, so that's what he tells Dwight. And Dwight lights his cigarette. I wasn't sure exactly what was going to happen here. But then he ends up flicking it. And it sets Negan's car on fire, which basically symbolizes that he agrees to Simon's plan, right? He's down for it, and they leave the crash site. So, wow, right? Simon and Dwight basically leave Negan to die. They totally betray him. And this is the first betrayal of Negan. We haven't seen that yet, where his people don't, just kind of, just don't follow him anymore, right? Like, that's just unheard of. So this is the first time, and Simon kind of talks Dwight into it. But I think at this point, Dwight is kind of impartial still, but I think he's actually even leaning towards Simon now and just staying with the Saviors, because he really only cares about Negan. I don't think he actually minds the idea of the Saviors in the group. I just think that he hates Negan. So without Negan in the picture, maybe he stays with the Saviors, right? Really not sure exactly what he's thinking at this moment. So then we're back in the tombs. So we're back in the tombs with Rick and Negan here. So Rick says, what you had was never going to last until you met a guy like me, right? So that's pretty awesome, right? I mean, that's so true. I mean, he's taken out so many groups, the Governor, Terminus, many groups, right? The Wolves, all these kind of groups they took out, and the whole outpost for the Saviors as well. He is that kind of guy. He says, you can't save people. You can't even save your own people, because you don't care about anyone. You use people for food and supplies, to sleep with you. I thought that was really interesting as well that he said that. Very true. And he says the only thing you care about is this bat, and you can't even save that. So he reveals to Negan that he has the bat. Oh, this was awesome. And Negan, so Negan knows that Rick has it now. And this was great. Rick says, I'll let you kiss her goodbye. And then Negan, don't you touch her. This was awesome, man. I love these lines. I mean, Lucille, this bat is literally everything to Negan. I mean, Rick is so right. The only thing you care about is this bat. I mean, it's true. It's true. That's probably his main focus. But then we see Rick light Lucille on fire. This was crazy. And then Rick says, come and get her. And then he tries breaking open the walkers entrance there. It says eaters on the sign. So he's been scoping this out a little bit. So he gets this plan. He lights it on fire, and he's breaking down the wood to let the walkers out so that they can attack Negan. And presumably he just leaves and lets it happen. But Negan tackles him into the entrance, comes out of nowhere, and is able to find him. He gets that drive in him, and he's able to find him and tackles him into the entrance, which kind of screwed it up because, now they're in the walker part. But anyways, a very cool fight scene with the walkers on fire here. Just kind of everything is a chaos. They're kind of trying to fight each other, but they also trying to fight off the walkers. And Rick's using the flaming Lucille on these walkers, and it was just awesome. I love this scene. But then he ends up dropping Lucille when Negan comes and tackles him down when he's focused on some walkers. And so then Negan grabs it, and he's able to take Lucille back. So this was tough, right? That was a little tough to see, but Rick had his little moment of fame there with the bat. Anyways, so Negan's able to grab his bat, break the window of that little floor or whatever, the little window on the wall there, and he's able to jump out. So then, of course, Rick, he's a little bit delayed, right? He has to fight off a couple walkers. Then he gets out behind him, and Negan's gone. Oh, man, not again, right? This is what I was thinking the casual viewers are going to be like, really? Another fight scene and Negan didn't die. But, us viewers know that Negan is a big character. They're not going to kill him off in episode 12. He's going to either be killed off in the finale, or he's not going to be killed off, right? So that's just what we know. But still a great fight scene, right? I'm not, obviously I'd like to see Negan die as soon as possible, but I appreciate the scene, and I think it played out great anyways with the way it ends up. So then we see Simon and Dwight get back to the Saviors, and this was like the very last minutes of the episode here. He gets back to the Saviors. Simon tells them that they only found blood, not Negan. So this was crazy, right? This is pretty, and they say, like, what happened to Negan, right? They're all, they all care. And then he tells them, he says, if the big man isn't there, they are still Negan. He said, who are you? Negan, or whatever, right? And they do this whole, I'm Negan sort of rehearsal, right? this thing. And then he tells them that the new plan should be to expunge them. I don't even know what this word means, expunge. I've never heard it before, but Simon has a pretty interesting vocabulary. He says they need to expunge them. They're a mistake that need to be erased. AKA, we need to kill them all, right? Like, that's pretty much what he's saying. He's kind of euphemizing it a little bit. But yeah, so Dwight then, this is what I saw in his face. I was talking to a couple of my friends, and they thought differently, but I thought that Dwight in this moment starts to realize that Simon actually deceived him with the words moving on, right? Simon kind of convinced him by saying, well, we'll move on from Rick's group. We're just going to leave them. But he meant moving on as in after they kill all of them, then they can move on. So I don't think Dwight knew that in that moment. So I think at this point he realizes that Simon has deceived him and lied to him because he doesn't want to see Rick's group, just killed, right? He's not for that. He has some morals here. And yeah, we see that Dwight is not okay with it, right? We just see that in his facial expressions at this moment. And Simon has gone absolutely nuts. I mean, he's trigger happy, just wants to kill everyone. It looks like Rick's group is next. The Junkyard group first, and now Rick's group with all of them. So he just wants to kill all of them, and now that Negan's not there, Simon's loose, right? He's on the loose, and he's presumably in charge of all the Saviors. So crazy stuff, and then they do like a little for Negan chant or whatever like that, even though Negan's not there. So anyways, very interesting. We'll have to see where that goes. A lot of people hate Negan. They're like, oh, well, if Negan was gone, we'd be okay. We could live together. But to be honest, Negan was probably better than this Simon guy, right? I mean, Simon wants to kill all of you. Negan at least, lets you live, but takes half your shit, right? So there's a little bit of a push and pull here, but we'll have to see what happens with that. Like I said, I don't expect them to get anywhere with this. I think that Simon's going to be killed by Negan as soon as he sees him. So that's me. Then we see at the very end, Negan is unconscious in a car driving. At first, I'm like, oh, Rick got him. No, so he wakes up and turns to Jadis. She is back. So I didn't think she would be back this season. I thought she'd be back in season 9, but she is back. She's driving the car and she's holding him at gunpoint. And then he says, well, shit. That's just a Negan thing to say. He knows he's screwed. And she says, shut up. And she knocks him out. And that is the end of the episode. Holy shit, man. That is just an amazing end of the episode. We'll have to see where this goes. Crazy stuff. So that just about does for the recap. Now I'll get to my rating and favorite character. Alright, so in terms of a rating for this episode, I'm going to give it a 4.7 out of 5. So I gave the premiere, the mid-season premiere, a 4.9. I thought it was done to perfection. The fact that they killed Carl obviously upset a lot of people, but I'm really liking it. I'm really liking the choice to kill him off. I didn't think I would, but at this point, I'm really liking it. It's driving Rick. It's, driving Michonne, and I think it's going to change the show for the better. I really do. And honestly, like I said in, the mid-season premiere review, Carl was not one of my favorite characters. And Chandler Riggs, I thought, just got lazy sometimes with his acting. But yeah, really great decision, I think, by Scott Gimple. I know he got a lot of flack for it, but I'm on the side of giving him the benefit of the doubt for this one. So far, it's working out well. But anyways, crazy stuff this episode. Really unexpected, honestly. I didn't expect a lot of this to happen. But I did say I thought it was going to be a good episode. But I didn't expect this long of an exchange from Rick and Negan. The whole thing with Simon. And this Georgie thing. really, really weird. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Maybe they come back and actually save them, in the finale, maybe when they're fighting Negan. I still think that the Oceanside are going to come into play here, so maybe they're, going to come together. Maybe they know the Oceanside. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what's going on with that one. But yeah, action-packed, entertaining, definitely, right? This episode, really great stuff. And those two things are probably, the most important for, casual viewers and, just general fans of the show. But, people like me who actually, review and criticize and really dive in deep to the show, obviously want some other things as well. But really great action, really entertaining. My negative for this one is, why did it take so long for an episode like this? Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the episode. I thought it was one of the best of the season so far. But why has it taken this long to get an episode like this? I mean, we've had the war going on. We've had Negan and Rick at odds. There's been lots of possibilities for an episode like this, for this stuff to happen. But it's episode 12 of season 8. And the war is going to end at the end of season 8. We have 4 more episodes of this war, and we just finally get to see an episode like this with a lot of action and entertainment value. So, I don't know. I'm a little bit turned off by that, but I'm appreciative that we got it and that we saw it this week. So, yeah. Anyways, a little bit of mixed feelings for this one, but because honestly, I know that, it takes a lot of money, and this episode probably would have cost a lot of money with the car crash, and all the main characters are in this episode, all the, high build cast. So yeah, I understand that they can't do this episode every week, but if they could just do, somewhat like it would be a lot better. But anyways, great build up for next week, right? And the rest of the war. I thought this episode created a lot of new storylines, a lot of cliffhangers now. So we'll have to see what happens as a result of this one. Really great stuff. Favorite character for this one is going to be Negan. And I don't think I've talked about him. I can't believe that, actually. I was looking back and I couldn't believe that. But Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing Negan. And I mean, I think I actually did do him. I think I focused on him maybe in the first half. But anyways, Jeffrey Dean Morgan playing him to a T, right? He does an awesome job as Negan. Just awesome, right? Just an awesome job. And Negan really went through a transformation in this episode. Finally was in a spot of in a kind of a risky spot, right? He was the hunted now, as I like to call it, instead of the hunter, which is a rare role for him, right? He's not used to being in that role, where, his opponent has the upper hand, in this case, Rick. So, felt like that was a very good thing there. We'll have to see what happens with him and Jadis. What is Jadis going to do? I don't know, honestly. I have no idea what's going to happen. So I'll have to watch the next episode and see. But yeah, I really like the character. I would like to see him die by the end of this season. But prove me otherwise, right? Talk me out of it. The next couple episodes, maybe they, give us a storyline with him and Jadis, and he seems remorseful maybe about the junkyard death and things come into play. Maybe I'm okay with him living, but right now, I would like to see him die. That's just me. Maybe you guys think differently. Definitely leave it in the comments below what you guys think, and just your general thoughts of the episode, of course. Anyways, that'll just about do it for me. Like I said, I got some really cool stuff in the works. I'm putting together the final details for this new idea for a series, basically on my channel. I think it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for it. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that one. That'll be very interesting to see. I hope it ends up working out. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Really appreciate the recent support on the channel as always. And I'll see you next week for what looks to be another good episode, episode 13 of season 8. Only four more episodes to go in the rest of season 8. So we'll see you next week for my review.